Hey, what's up guys? This is the recap show of Bellator 180 live from New York. I'll put a link in the description box if you guys have not seen the full fights. Though this is a disclosure, if you guys have not seen the fights in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you need to leave the live stream because this is going to tell you what happened and it's spoilers. So, like I said, if you have not seen the full fights, then you need to move along. And in the links below, when this podcast gets live, you'll be able to go and actually see the full fights in like HD quality. So we're going to talk about the main event, Chael Sonnen versus Wanderlei Silva. A lot of people were saying, well, especially I would say Luke Thomas on his podcast last night, his recap of the whole fight, said this fight was pretty crappy. It sucked. It was boring. And I don't see how he was saying this fight was boring. This fight was not good. It lived up to the hype, okay? Chael Sonnen got cracked. Not once, but twice. He got cracked and he fell down. And when he got cracked the first time, I was like, oh, this fight's over. It's going to be like Wanderlei just beat him, and Chael Sonnen is going to be one of those guys that's known for not living up to the hype in the organization he came from, the UFC. He was really good, and now he's coming to Bellator, and he's a washed-up version of himself. No, he actually did it what he was supposed to do, double leg takedowns, and was doing everything right. Double leg takedowns, and Wanderlei was like really kind of to the point he was not really doing much on the ground, not trying to hip escape, not trying to get into triangles, arm bars, nothing. He was just laying there and basically just accepting that he was getting beat up. And it wasn't, no, I don't see this as a bad fight because nobody in the crowd wasn't booing. And usually when you see a fight, the crowd boos if the guy's just wrestling on the ground. And you know when you fight Chael Sonnen, that's his game plan. He has decent stand-up, enough that he's going to crack you a few times and then shoot in for a double leg and do his typical ground and pound. And Wanderlei at the end of the fight ends up pushing Chael Sonnen because he's pissed off because he's like, I wanted to throw down and you did not want to throw down. Well, this is mixed martial arts. It's not a kickboxing match. It's not a straight boxing match, and Chael Sonnen did what he had to do to win. And was it in good fashion? I thought the fight was actually a pretty good fight, even though it might have been a one-sided beatdown. It lived up to the hype for me. Then you got Matt Mitrione, who fought on this fight card against Fedor Emelianenko, and Fedor is the last emperor, the best heavyweight of all time, but he's a shell version of himself, okay? He should not be competing, okay? Maybe he went on a 5-fight win streak over the last 2 or 3 years, but he was fighting guys that were not in the top 10 of the world. And I think Matt Mitrione is a top 10 heavyweight. I was never a fan of his when he was in the UFC. I was never a fan of this guy. Never. I was like, this guy sucks. This guy is not that great. And ever since he went to Bellator, he's actually showed me that he is a good fighter. He could take a punch. He can come back from adversity. And he can throw down. And this was a weird fight because Fedor gets a leg kick, throws a leg kick. And Matt Mitrione bouncing around lightly on his feet. So he's showing that he's very light and he's like just throwing out a little jab here and there. And they both land straight, like I think it's like a straight right like this. Fedor falls and Matt falls. And I think what happened is Matt's punch was more devastating, or it's just the fact that Matt can take a punch because he's still younger in his career and hasn't taken a lot of beatings like Fedor. So Fedor got cracked and Matt Mitrione got up and landed, it looked like 2 or 3 punches, and the fight was done. And Matt Mitrione won, and Matt Mitrione said he was going to do everything in his power to win this fight. He never grew up with Fedor Emelianenko. He never grew up as Fedor as like his icon or his favorite fighter. So he even said when he walked around the cage, he walked up to I think it was Dan Merbliata, I think it was, who was the ref, and he goes, hey, you need to check Fedor. He still thinks he's in a fight. And Fedor is one of the baddest dudes on the planet, but I don't want to see this guy keep getting hurt and hurt and hurt. When he fought in the U.S. last time, he went 0-3. 0-3, okay? Yes, he went 5 fights in a row, but they're against nobodies, against people who are not in the top 10, not UFC caliber, not Bellator caliber. So if he wants to go fight on these like smaller promotions and still compete, cool. But I don't want to see Fedor fighting anymore. And it looks like they're going to be doing Fedor versus Chael Sonnen, because Chael Sonnen in his post-fight interview talked crap about him. But I don't want to see this dude fighting anymore. It's the same thing as GSP. You don't want to see this, guys. And tonight, you're going to have the return of BJ Penn. And I don't want to see BJ Penn just get his ass handed to him. If BJ Penn is just going to get smashed again, he needs to just walk away and say, it's done, I'm over with, and that's it. But for myself, I think this Bellator card was stacked, top to bottom. It was one of the best Bellator cards I've seen. I've only seen the few fights on the links below, because I went there and I watched the fights, and now that's what I'm breaking down. I've seen Heather, and I'm not sure who her opponent was, but they were, she was straight boxing her up. Straight boxing her, okay? And she said she was not a Holly Holmes type of boxer. She was a in-your-face, aggressive boxer. And this is her very first MMA fight. And for her very first MMA fight, being a 0-0 professional, she impressed me. She was throwing a lot of overhand right. She would go like this, like that, overhand right. And her distance wasn't as good as it was in MMA, because in boxing, you might go 1-2, and then you stand on the outside and you bounce around. But there was a point where her opponent was on the ground. I think it was in the third round. It might have been the second or third round, whatever the fight finished in. And she had her where she could finish her, and she just stopped. And she's like, come on, get back up. And I'm like, no, she should have just went down there and started swinging. But that chick was badass. Hey, and thanks for stopping in. What is it? Oh, the comment went too fast. So I think it was Deal something. I didn't see the full name, but we're talking about Bellator MMA, the last event they had this past Saturday, or I should say yesterday. It was badass. Yeah, hey, what's up, dude? Because the comment section goes by pretty fast, so I can't really see them. But thanks for, like I said, always stopping in and watching and enjoying and subscribing. But like I said, we're talking about the Bellator MMA fight. I don't know if you watched it or you know what I'm talking about, but this is the fight card that we are talking about. Chael Sonnen versus Wanderlei Silva, which Chael Sonnen dominated that fight. And then Matt Mitrione versus Fedor, and Matt Mitrione pretty much dominated that fight. Yeah, it actually was. It was a pretty crazy fight, a double knockdown. The only reason why I think Matt Mitrione won that fight, not because it was a double knockdown. I think because he's still younger in the game, and he can still take a hell of a punch, while somebody like Fedor can't take a punch. Because Fedor, he got hit, and it was basically the same punch, but Fedor, I think, because he's fought so many times, and he's not the same guy he once was in his early career, so he took that punch, and he was stunned more than Matt Mitrione. Maybe in Fedor's prime, he would have been able to recover and come back and won that fight. But for me, personally, I don't think Fedor should ever be fighting again. I don't think Fedor should be fighting. I think Matt Mitrione is probably one of the best Bellator heavyweights. I think that dude should be getting a title fight, okay? He's like 3-0 in Bellator, and he's all won by knockouts. So this dude is legit. This dude is legit. I never used to like this guy. He used to come off real cocky. Like, never really liked his fighting style, but he is badass. Matt is a tank. He is big, and he has a lot of power. Yeah, he does. He has a lot of power, and he's very light on his feet. That's one thing I noticed. He's very light on his feet, and I heard they might be making Chael Sonnen versus Fedor. That's a fight because Chael Sonnen after his fight called him out. And I'm like, why are you calling out this guy? You're going to fight at heavyweight? I mean, I think Chael Sonnen would beat Fedor. The way Chael Sonnen fought last night was not boring to me. I don't know if it was boring to you, but I was watching a podcast and Luke Thomas of MMA Fighting said that the fight was absolutely horrific. It was boring. And for myself, I don't see the main event as a boring fight. I thought it was a really good competitive fight. So not a lot of people know much about Matt, but he's one bad mother effer. Yeah, he is. He is a bad dude. Like I said, when he was in the UFC, I never really enjoyed his fights. I never really watched him that much. But now that he's in Bellator, he's really, really improved. And he shows, like a lot of guys who are coming from the UFC into Bellator, they're actually showing a lot of skills, and they're actually doing pretty good. Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised that he beat Fedor. I'm just surprised because Fedor is not the same guy that he once was. If you look at the Fedor that fought in like 2001, 2002, that Fedor probably could have beat Matt easily, because back then he was the baddest dude on the planet. He beat Nogueira. He beat all the top guys that you would think about in MMA. He beat them and beat them very easily. And now, because he's on a 5-fight win streak, everybody thought this guy was going to be a killer in when he comes back to Bellator. And I never saw that, because the last fight I saw Fedor fight in was in Russia, and it was terrible. And they could have stopped that fight, but Fedor won. But for me, I don't want to see Fedor fighting anymore. I really don't. I don't want to see any Fedor fights. I love Fedor. I think he's one of the baddest dudes on the planet. But your time has come and gone. There's a difference between being a legit guy and being at the top of the heap and being a guy that is washed up. And I believe he is one of those guys that is washed up and is not as great as he once was. Yeah, Fedor, it says Fedor's brother was a beast too. Yeah, but these guys who fought in Pride, they're not the same guy they once were. Look at Vanderlei Silva. He's not the same guy he once was either, okay? Back in Pride, they were able to soccer kick, stomp you in the head, do a lot of crazy shit. But nowadays, these guys, because they were in so big of wars, they don't really have much to offer anymore. And that's the truth. They don't have much to offer because they were a reckless person in their prime. And if you look at somebody like, I'll give you an example, Conor McGregor, he's never really hit. So when he gets out of his prime, he's probably still going to be a bad dude. Look at Demetrius Johnson, a bad dude, never really hit. And that's great when you're a fighter who never takes a lot of punishment. That's why, I'll give you an example, Floyd Mayweather at 40 years old, he still fights like a 20-year-old because he does not take punishment. So he's not like diminished himself as a fighter. And what do you think of the Fedor Emelianenko, and what do you think of the Mayweather-Conor McGregor fight? I'll break it down like this, because I know this is a show, my videos about Bellator. I'll break it down like this. I think everybody's counting out Conor McGregor, and Conor McGregor has a longer reach. He's a bigger dude, and Conor McGregor is going to come in there and do stuff that a traditional normal boxer wouldn't do. Yes, he's not going to throw leg kicks and body kicks and stuff like that, but the dude is going to be able to, I think, do something crazy that no other fighter has been able to do. I don't think he's going to be able to knock Mayweather out, but I see him like catching Mayweather in a compromising position that Mayweather's not used to, because Conor, if you look at him, he does not have that like bobbing and weaving down like a traditional boxer. Traditional boxers like this. They like to bob and weave, and Conor's not like that. And I don't believe Conor's going to have the power to knock him out in boxing with the 10-ounce gloves, because there's a difference between the 10-ounce gloves and the 4-ounce gloves that you have in MMA. But I think it's going to be a great fight. I don't think everybody who's talking about this fight, they're all like, Conor's just going to look like a fool. He's just going there for the paycheck. I don't believe that. I believe Conor's going to go out there and try to win and be very aggressive, maybe dirty box. He's going to do something that is crazy, something that is outlandish, something that is going to shock the world. You know, I don't believe he's going to just destroy Mayweather, because Mayweather is the baddest dude on the planet when it comes to boxing. Never been hit, hardly ever. He's very good with counterpunching. And Conor is a slow guy when it comes to boxing. When you think of boxing and you think of Conor, Conor is kind of a slow guy. And says, and you look at Conor, for example, he's slow on the boxing style. But when you talk about Conor in MMA, he's very bad. It says, I think Mayweather will win a lot of, but I think Conor is still going to win a few rounds, okay? I think Conor will clip Mayweather, not knock him out, but still hurt him. And he'll be looked at as, wow, a UFC guy comes into boxing and actually was able to touch up Mayweather. That's crazy. Because a lot of legit boxers, here's my thing with the legit boxers. They come in with the boxing mindset of, I'm going to come forward, and they just throw like a jab like this. Conor's not going to do that. Conor's going to come in there, and you know what I think would be really crazy? You know how a lot of people, they engage Mayweather. They engage him. They come forward. I think Conor's going to wait for Mayweather to come to him. Just like Jose Aldo came to him. And because Jose Aldo, if you look at it, he's a really good boxer for MMA. He's a really good boxer. And Conor waited for him to come forward, and then he cracked him. That's going to be the same thing, I think, with Mayweather. It's going to be Mayweather's going to have to engage Conor, and that's when Conor's going to land that left. That's what I feel is going to happen. Nobody's talking about that. The only guy that talks about this is Brendan Schaub. He said Mayweather is going to lose to Conor. I don't know if he's going to lose, but I think he's going to get cracked a few times by Conor. And Conor is the younger guy. I think I would say more confident guy. That dude's a confident dude. Will I say Conor's going to win? I don't know. I think Mayweather has the chance to beat Conor because Mayweather's a 49-0 guy. Mayweather, but you got to say this. Mayweather has fought a lot of guys out of their prime, okay? Manny Pacquiao was way past his prime. Okay, a lot of these fighters he's fighting were way out of his prime. And Conor, he's in his prime. Conor has the ability to win. But getting back to the whole Chael Sonnen versus Vanderlei, or Chael Sonnen versus Fedor, I don't really want to see that. Yeah, he's making $100 million. That's what he's doing. He's making money, but yeah, true, anything can happen. And a lot of these legit boxing promoters are saying Conor has zero chance. Zero chance. No chance at all to win this fight. And that's like me saying, if I go into a fight with Conor McGregor, I have no chance of even touching him. I at least have a chance to, like, maybe punch him, maybe hit him. You know, I'm not a professional boxer or a professional athlete, but you still have a chance. And Conor, they're downplaying his skill set. They're like, he's not that great. He's not doing good. He's not the best that MMA has. I'm like, people are saying basically like MMA fighters have no chance in hell when it comes to competing with a high-level boxer. And I'm like, I don't see that, because Conor McGregor does have some decent skills. And I'll show you a video right now of Conor sparring. And this is recent sparring, if I could find the video. I mean, does it look good? I don't know. You make the judgment for yourself, but here's what I see. Once the video will start. And I know a lot of people are looking at this and going, well, Conor's throwing leg kicks. And yes, Conor might not be the fastest striker in the business, might not be the most technical boxer, but I think that's what's going to be his upside, is he's going to throw some unorthodox type of fighting. He's going to throw some crazy things that Mayweather's never seen. Yeah, Conor's not going to go out there and throw double leg takedowns. He's not going to throw spinning back fists. But I think his boxing looks like it's improved. But you can definitely see there's a huge difference between a MMA fighter doing boxing and somebody like a Mayweather doing boxing, because when you go to my Instagram, because I made on my Instagram, I made a little what should I say, a little like promo video for the fight, if that makes any sense. And it's right here if you want to, I'll show it to you. And this is all the like big highlights for Conor McGregor. But when you look at it, for an example, the problem is Conor, when you look at him compared to Mayweather, because you see right here, this is the best combination he landed in the UFC. And look at this. There's a huge difference in the way Mayweather throws his hands. There's a way big difference. And my problem is, for a lot of this is, if you're not a boxing fan, most MMA fight fans are just thinking that Conor is just going to win very easily because that's their guy. I've seen on the Luke Thomas podcast, people are like, hey, can Conor throw spinning back fists? Can he throw like a Superman punch? I'm like, you can't do that in professional boxing. You can't. But getting back to the main purpose of making this live stream was the Bellator event. I think the Bellator event was actually really good. And did you hear that tonight, the UFC event, still Johnny Hendricks missed weight again? And they're fighting at 185 pounds, and he missed weight again. How is that dude missing weight every time he fights? He misses weight. Maybe that dude should be fighting at 205. I don't see how Johnny Hendricks is missing weight. You know, he is a big dude. Okay, I'll get that. I'll say that. He is a big dude. But missing weight all the time, that doesn't even make any sense. Unless the dude's not taking his weight cutting like that great. Because he's fighting, because Johnny Hendricks is fighting Tim Boetsch. And Johnny Hendricks is weighing in at 188 and Tim Boetsch is 185. I don't know, man. Is it just me, or is Johnny Hendricks not, what should I say, doesn't seem motivated to fight anymore? That's what it seems like to me, because I'm going to be doing a live stream for this whole fight card. And it's not like a great fight card, to be completely honest with you. It's like mediocre at best. And if I want to pick the fights that I'm going to think who's going to win, I think this dude, Michael's going to win. Here's how I'm breaking the fight down. Mike's going to beat Kevin Lee. Not a fan of that guy. I think over skill set wise, I think Johnny Hendricks is a more skillful fighter. But I'm going to take Tim Boetsch because Tim Boetsch made weight, is always a high-level competitor. I just think Johnny Hendricks, Big Rig Johnny Hendricks, he does not seem motivated to fight anymore. You know, ever since he lost to GSP and lost to Robbie Lawler and lost his title, it's like his talent has gone down. He's not the same guy he once was. And for myself, some of these fighters, I don't know who they are, but I'm gonna say this chick is gonna win the fight. She's 12-6. She's well, they basically both go to decision, so I'm still gonna say she's gonna win by decision. And that's the only problem when you see a lot of these fight cards that are like not that great. A lot of the fighters you don't know. Alex versus Tim Means. I'm gonna say Tim Means is gonna win because he has the height advantage, he has the reach advantage, and let's see if who exactly this dude's fought. So he's on a 2-fight losing streak. So, but I'm still picking Tim Means to win that fight. Yeah, you're right. Johnny Hendricks does not take his job seriously. This is the only fight that does not make any sense. I know BJ Penn has. Here's the thing: BJ Penn is training with the same people he trained with when he fought Diego Sanchez, and when he fought Diego Sanchez, he was a beast. So, looking at these two fighters, I'm going to say, I don't know, man, because I don't want Dennis Siver to win. I want BJ to win. And when you look at Dennis Siver's record, okay, he's on a 2-fight losing streak, okay? And when you look at BJ Penn's record, it's so sad, man. The last time BJ Penn won a fight was against Matt Hughes in November 20th, 2010. Okay? Basically, he drawed with John Fitch, which was a pretty good fight. He got dominated by Nick Diaz. Rory McDonald just beat him up. Frankie Edgar beat him up. And then Rodriguez beat him up. And if you actually look at it, 1, 2, 3. He's 6-1 out of his last 8 fights. So he won 1 fight and lost 6. That's not a great record, because if you used to look at BJ back in the day, BJ Penn was a legit badass. Okay? He was a 170-pound champion. He was a 155-pound champion. And what I think about BJ Penn is, I think this dude either is not motivated to fight, or his skill is diminished really bad. Because I don't know if it's the lack of skill set, the lack of motivation, but there's something to be said about this guy. Because BJ Penn used to be a guy that would come out there and be very violent and very aggressive. I don't want to see him get knocked out or get hurt, but I want to see BJ win this fight. Then you got Clay Guida. And Clay Guida, what can you say about the dude? He used to be a top guy. He used to be very aggressive. He is a wrestler. He has a height disadvantage. He has a reach disadvantage. I would say Clay Guida. I'm going to go for Clay Guida versus Eric. I think Clay Guida is the more experienced. And I'll say Clay Guida is probably the more experienced fighter. Been in higher profile fights. But, yeah, I'll go with Clay Guida on that one. And then these guys, I have no clue who these guys are. So I can't really say who's going to win or who's going to lose. And that's, like I said, that's the problem when you have these fight cards that have like real watered down fight cards. A lot of the people, I have no clue who's competing. I don't know who Victor, I don't know who this dude is. And then you have the former 115-pound champion, Carlo Esparza, which she's has a height advantage difference, and the reach advantage is big for this chick right here. She has a big reach advantage and a height advantage, and you see it in the weigh-ins how significant the reach advantage is. Carlo is a like I said, was the former champion at 115 pounds until Joanna beat her up, and she's on a 1-fight losing streak. So do I think she's gonna win? Because she's on a win lose. So it looks like she's ready for a win in that aspect. And this chick right here, she's on a 2-fight winning streak. So I think Carlo Esparza is going to lose based on the reach advantage and the overall. This chick is probably more motivated because she's on a bigger win streak. So with that being said, guys, remember to rate, comment, subscribe, and that is the podcast. Just let me know what you guys think of this whole UFC fight night fight card. For myself, I'm not really too pumped on it, but I do want to see some of these fights. But as always, I will definitely talk to you guys in the next one. Just remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. And I'm Trevor from Trevor's MMA, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. I'll be doing more live streams like right after the fights, because I think that's when more people will tune in and more people will join and more people will enjoy the show. So yeah, man, like I said, this fight card is not that great. So if you go to scheduled fights, there's really not a lot of big fights that are coming up. And because you have the lack of Conor McGregor, the lack of big fighters, you don't really have too many good fight cards that are out there that are like popping. The next big fight card is going to be Daniel Cormier versus John Jones. But if you still look at this fight card, you have Cyborg, which is a beast, and you don't really have a lot of super big guys on that card as well. So yeah, I will talk to you guys in the next one.